The year is 2024, and there is political unrest on the Korean peninsula. Due to territorial disputes, China, Japan, and South Korea fought in the Great War, which led Japan to remilitarize with the US and Russia out of concern for the possibility of war. North and South Korea decided to merge in order to survive, and a 5-year transition period was established to minimize consequences. The major players in the region, including the United States, China, Japan, and Russia, are concerned that a united and powerful Korea will later oppose reunification. Significant tariffs were imposed on both countries as general welfare declined, which led to an economic depression and reduced public support for reunification. These tariffs also played a role in the decline of overall welfare as social unrest grew and anti-government demonstrations became more violent. Due to the ensuing chaos, the sect, a domestic terrorist organization, was formed to prevent the reunion, which has caused the provisional government to fall into disarray. Police are troubled by the size and arsenal of the terrorists. On the other hand, the government established a police unit known as the Special Unit to combat the sect because the existing police force was unable to handle it. However, the Special Unit murdered 15 innocent girls during an operation, an incident known as Bloody Friday. The incident inflamed the populace's rage, and they set out to find the Special Unit responsible for their trauma. Despite the requirement that they be kept on to control the sect, the Special Unit chose to conceal their faces behind steel helmets in order to protect their identities. Additionally, they must battle a sect and a public security department that wants to take control of the nation's security. 5 years later, there is a protest, but it is difficult for the police to tell whether there are sect protesters or just regular protesters. A short while later, the sect enters Gwanghwamun Square disguised as protesters and ignites a riot. They're using strong bombs, automatic weapons, and fire to overpower the police. After some time, the team and Captain Park Moo-young, the Special Unit's commanding officer, arrive on the scene. Then Park tells them that this is the sect's final hiding place and orders them to hunt them down until the last survivor. The Special Unit is then split into 2 groups, with Kim Trol-jim leading one backup team and Lim Young-kyung leading the other. Despite the sect's attempts to flee, they eventually succeeded in forcing them to retreat, and the unit pursued them to their final hiding place. The sect, on the other hand, is training young children to carry out suicide bombings. When they realize the unit is close by, they attempt to flee through the water tunnel. A gunfight starts when the 2 opposition sides later meet. With its unique armor, the unit defends itself with ease and destroys them in a matter of minutes. While searching for the remaining members, Lim instead finds an innocent girl, which makes him feel guilty. As a result, he puts down his gun and asks the girl to hand over the bomb. The girl panics and blows herself up, but the soldiers survive as more soldiers arrive. Lim appears shocked by the event. Moo-young and the chief presidential secretary, Park Jang-jae, were listening to the news when the Special Unit arrived at its headquarters following the encounter and learned that the incident had damaged the unit's reputation. According to the government, this warrants further investigation. Therefore, Lim and Squadron will go through re-education up until the fact-finding committee releases its final report. Additionally, they declared that they would temporarily halt the activities of the Special Units. Moo-young believes that the Public Security Department made the decision regarding the suspension and additional investigation. On the other hand, Park queries Special Unit Training Officer Jang Jin-tae about Lim Jang. He responds that Lim didn't suffer any serious wounds. Park then considers using Lim as a scapegoat by attributing the incident to his past, which Jang and Moo-young oppose because it would lower the morale of the other men. They hear the public security arrive at their headquarters after their conversation. Then Park and Jang leave through a back door. Later, Jang is approached by Han Sang-woo, a former member of the unit who has since attained the rank of department ranking officer. Han tells Jang that he has no choice but to be in charge of the Public Security Committee. Then, as they exit the building, Han inquires about Lim, to which Jang replies that he hasn't seen him since the incident. Han keeps inquiring about Lim's mental state because he is aware of the impact Bloody Friday had on Lim. Jang continues, "If there is a human, there is also a beast." While Lim is working out, a nurse arrives to take the staples off of his injury. When the nurse asks Han why he returned, Han replies that he is there to see him. Han claims that he visited the crime scene and discovered papers between the walls. Han hands him the diary of the young girl Lee Jae. He requests that he give it back to her family, specifically to Lee Young-hee, her older sister. Han continues, saying that she joined a high school history club before joining the sect, and that she was a sophomore Red Riding Hood in charge of delivering bombs. Lim reads the diary later that evening after discovering pictures of Lee Jae's sister tucked inside. The following day, he makes an effort to go to training, but he is unable to concentrate because of his guilt, which makes Jang hit him while they are working out and tell him to calm down. Then he calls Yoon-hee and informs her that Jae-hee's belongings from the day of her death are here. He later sneaks out of their camp and runs into Yoon that evening at Namsan Tower. Despite his initial guilt, Yoon surprises Lim for not hating him for her sister's passing. She explains to him how her sister's decision to join the sect destroyed her family, and says she cannot hold him responsible for her passing. She also claims that he did not shoot her because they were rivals on opposing sides after receiving their orders. When Lim inquires as to how frequently she visits, she replies that she only happened to be there because she manages a bookstore that belonged to her late father. She then expressed gratitude to him for giving her the diary because she had thrown out almost all of her belongings. Later, she identifies the location of her store in Sengsudong-yeong. She then asks him if he wants to go and mentions that she knows a great place for noodles. Meanwhile, when Jang checks the soldier's room, he discovers that Lim is not present. However, Yoon-hee and Lim go to the noodle shop, and as they walk to the bookstore, they start to feel something for one another. Yoon-hee tells Lim that she saw a puppet show of Little Red Riding Hood, but in a version without a happy ending. Lim finds a poster of Little Red Riding Hood inside the establishment. Later that evening, after leaving Yoon, Lim meets Han in the street near her bookstore. Han then inquires about Lim's well-being, and she responds that he seems normal. It turns out that Yoon was once a part of the sect, and Han commands her to set a trap for Lim for the sake of state security. He demands she comply in exchange for having her prison sentence commuted and getting her sick brother treated. He claims that Lim appears to like him, so he commands her to remain in that position and employ all necessary measures. Alternately, Han and the director of the department have a salon meeting with Kim Young-bae, the police commissioner. Myung-bae discusses the circumstances surrounding the special unit. The plan is overseen by the director of the department, who assumes Lim is a member of the special unit's Wolf Brigade, a group that seeks to defend the unit's goal. In spite of the fact that the director claims he doesn't know who commands it, and can only assume it's a member of the special unit, his sources claim that the Wolf Brigade is responsible for the death of Director Yu last year, and the shooting of Owen Park from the prosecutor's office. The director claims that even though Myung-bae claims they are patriots and have no corruption, the Wolf Brigade will use any justification to murder them if they get in the way. He advises creating a scandal that they won't be able to ignore as a result. The following day, a sect member from the unit confronts Yoon-hee for being a traitor and becoming the department's spy. It turns out that Yoon-hee is also a member of the sect. She then clarifies that, in spite of what she had said, she had become the department's spy in order to pay for her brother's medical expenses. Young is not believed by Mik-young, so he left her. After leaving, she becomes aware that someone is pursuing her and tries to flee. She is overcome by the unit member though, and taken into the interrogation room. According to Jang, the department has funded the sect in order to create mayhem and push the special unit to its limit. Additionally, he convinces her to join a plot against the sect, but she only agrees if she receives a new identity as a result of the operation. Young-hee and Lim are currently having their second meeting while the department has bugged his phone and dispatched a team to seize Young-hee. Despite realizing the gravity of the situation, Lim continues to play along and maintains his composure. Meanwhile, Yoon uses the restroom while getting ready to pose as Han in order to capture Lim as intended. In order to ensure her safety despite the circumstances, Han also gave her a tracking device. Mik-young abruptly confronts Young-hee before departing. The plan is derailed by Mik-young's interference, and Lin easily defeats the team. Since Lim also saves Young-hee, who the department is pursuing for failing the mission, the sizable number of the department's units has no bearing on his ability to fight back. They are shot at by a weaponized drone as they prepare to leave. Lim, however, controls the drone just as easily, and they manage to escape. They quickly steal a vehicle from the parking lot and drive off. Han shows up just as they are about to flee and collides with them. Then Han offers to hand him over, but Lin refuses. Then Lim says that he is aware Yonggi is a spy and that they are planning to catch him. When Hannah hears this, he is startled and drops his guard, allowing Lim and Yoon to flee. Then Jang gives them the order to hide. They are unable to travel there though, as state security apprehended and killed the soldiers who were supposed to transport them. After they arrive at the sewers, Jang gives Lim the new order to turn Yoon in. This means that Yoon must enter them with Yoongi. Lim, however, feels sorry for her and invites her to flee and save herself. She declines though, because there aren't any safe places for her to go after they've spent some time together. Yoon regrets her decision to deceive Lim. She says she's beginning to fall for him and asks him to run away together. But Lim doesn't respond. After a while, Jang calls Lim to reaffirm that he must turn in Yoongi in. Hearing that he decides to turn on the tracking device that Han gave her, causing him to track her and deploy the special ops team to capture Lim once again. Yoon regrets her action of tracking Lim and shows him the tracking device. Yoon bemoans her choice to trick Lim and claims she's starting to fall for him. She asks him to join her on a getaway, but Lim doesn't answer. After some time, Jang calls Lim to reiterate the need for him to turn in Yoongi. Having heard that, Yoon chooses to activate the tracking device Han had given her, which makes him able to locate her and send out the special operations team to apprehend Lim once more. Yoon displays the tracking device and expresses regret for her decision to follow Lim. However, as a last resort, Han sends in the special ops and enters the battle with heavy weapons that, despite their equipment, are more modern than the other team's arsenal. Lim later fights back without even blinking. He keeps killing the special ops until Han is the only one left. Then, a shootout between the two of them results in Han's serious injury. Han tries to flee, but his efforts are unsuccessful. Lim offers to be saved, but Han rejects him and shoots him, prompting Lim to retaliate by killing Han. The Wolf Brigade finally destroys the department's force. Jang then brings Yuffie. He favors death. After the preparation, Lim appears to save her and tries to dissuade Jang from going through with it. When he notices his disobedience, he hands Lim the gun and tells him to start the execution. Yoongi responds that she loves him and only wants to flee with him when he questions why she didn't take advantage of the opportunity to do so. Jang, on the other hand, is furious and confronts Lim for his betrayal after learning that Yoongi has not yet been put to death. Then, a battle between two wolf brigades is fiercely intense because both have received specialized training and equipment. When Lim decides to leave the special unit in response to Jang's callous order, the conflict comes to an end. Later, they make the departmental scandal public, and the director is arrested by the police. Shortly after Yoongi, North and South Korea will meet to resume their reunification negotiations. In order to live peacefully together, he and his lover fled to another location. They are inside the train as it passes through at the end of the film, with Lim outside. Thank you for watching.